Hello everyone and welcome to the SCPL. My name is Kix and below me is Rapid.
Well, hello there, it's good to be back again for another day of STPL, and what a special day it is, Kix.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool day. We are going to have the first semi-final of round 2, so that's going to be between Red and NetWars, so that should be a good one.
Yeah, Red and NetWars, of course, two of the strongest teams in STPL. And, for Red, you might see a couple of big names, some big performers on that team. For NetWars, I mean, these guys are just super solid. They also have, I believe, the highest rated player, the highest win rate player in STPL on their roster, and they've been around for a very long time, so I'm excited to see how well they'll perform.
Yeah, no, they're going to be up against some tough opponents, but as you did say, they do have some of the highest rated players so far in the SCPL. Now, there is one other stat that's kind of interesting, which we'll get to in just a second. But just to confirm, we are going to have a semi-final A today, which is going to be Red versus NetWars, and semi-final B on Friday, same time, same place. But just have a look, just to sort of show off the player table you were talking about before. Not only do they have the top rated player, they also have the 6th highest rated player as well. And the top one and the 2nd highest, we will see both of them today as well. So kind of crazy, but Red not absent from that table either. You see 2 of their players there as well in Ku and kogeT. So we've got some pretty insane players playing today.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to watch these guys play off against each other because it includes some very special players, some very special maps as well, which I think we should also get a chance to showing off because they are almost just as interesting.
Yeah, so having a look at the maps, we're going to have in Set 1, New Sniper Ridge, Set 2, Hitchhiker, Set 3, Neo Electric Circuit, Set 4, Aztec, and Set 5, Return of the King.
Yeah, so these maps were very new to me, at least. Well, they were old to me, is the point. I hadn't seen them played in quite a while. So then when I had to watch them played in STPL, they were still very new to me. But by now, I've kind of gotten a chance to watch them being played a few times. But don't worry, if you haven't watched these maps be played in quite a while, Kix has seen them way too many times, and I've gotten a feel for them. So hopefully we'll be able to explain them a little bit.
Yeah, and overall we've had about 130 games in round 2, so that's 130 games across all of these maps, so that's a lot of games.
Yeah, that is quite a few, and having to broadcast that many, it gets to you after a while, Kix, and I'm just not the same person I was when we first started STPL, but I think I am better for having watched this much Brood War.
It's been pretty sweet. So let's have a look at today's matchup. We're going to have Red, who are the only team so far in the SCPL to have ever gone undefeated. They went 6-0 in round 2, winning Group A. It was very close at the end though between them and 2 other teams, one of them just missing out on their playoff spot. But they've done an incredible job so far, and they are going to be up against one of the Titan teams from Group B. Went 4 for 1 this round. They did go 6 for 2 last round, which did put them in the playoffs back then as well. But still, they have both been fantastic teams so far.
Yeah, I'm very excited to watch them play. The undefeated nature of Red is actually just so surprising to me because not only is that, like you said, never happened before in STPL, but they rotate quite a few players. Some players, even though they do very well, they don't play every week. And then you have mainstays, guys like kogeT. We'll talk about a little bit more about their rosters here in just a second, that just perform so consistently every single week. So just a really exciting roster to watch as they face off against NetWars, who, surprisingly, you look at NetWars roster and you're just like, wow, these people are just really strong.
Yeah.
But even they were unable to have an undefeated season.
They were. They had some tough groups or tough teams in Group B, but so did Red in Group A. So let's actually introduce who their players are going to be today. Okay, so starting us off for Red, we're going to have REDBLUEGREEN, kogeT, kogeT, and Ku. And for NetWars, we're going to have kogeT, Yeti, Zero, and Bonith. So some really insane names in there. I'm sure anyone who's followed Brood War recently will know quite a few of these players. There's one who's a little bit newer, but certainly a strong player in his own right, and he's going to be in the first game, so...
Yeah, absolutely. You look at these lineups and you've just got like such a host of talent here. Cryok, like I mentioned, who has just been so consistent for Red all season long. We got Kadenzi, who's playing from Korea after training a whole lot out here. And they're all facing off against an incredibly strong Net Wars roster. And you look at that and you see kogeT and Boneth, and your brain explodes at how good they are. And then you realize that Yeti has the best win ratio on their team. And you're just like, okay, well, they're drinking MJ's secret stuff or whatever it is, but safe to say there's something special in the Polish water when it comes to being good at Brood War.
Yeah, some say Poland is the Korean mecca of Europe when it comes to StarCraft, and they've certainly proved it so far in the SCPL. Some insane players coming from Poland. Not only are they all very mad, well, yeah, most of them are very mana, especially the ones on Net Wars. But you also have Zero as well, who not only plays at such a high level, he also organizes his own tournament and puts a hell of a lot of effort into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when it comes to Poland and their commitment to StarCraft, it's pretty impressive. So very excited to watch Net Wars play here, because not only are those guys just crazy for StarCraft 1, 2, everything in between, it's just really cool to see their community kind of get behind this. And so I'm sure in the future the Polish language broadcast of STPL will eclipse even our own illustrious viewership. But that's just my way of segueing perfectly into thanking everybody for coming out and watching these semifinals here tonight.
Yeah, now let's actually have a look at our first two players and how they've been doing so far. We actually have REDBLUEGREEN fighting for Red, a name very confusing with his clan tag, but he did go 2 for 0 this round. He did go 0 for 1 last round, but he's actually 2 for 1 in TBT, so he has played a lot of TBT. Every game he's played, I believe, has been TBT as well, so he's got a lot of experience on this online stage here in this matchup, and he is against the king of Net Wars himself, the captain, stepping down due to a few family commitments recently. Radley and Yeti taking over that role, but still an incredible player. He went 6 for 2 last round, and he's 2 for 1 this round as well.
I don't know how to follow that up, Kix. Yes,
yeah,
that is everything.
Everything. How's that?
That's the only thing that the slide says.
Yeah, and obviously, let's have a look at the map they're going to be playing on. It's going to be New Sniper Ridge. Now, this is probably one of the most standard maps in the map pool out of round 2. Pretty standard map in all sort of circumstances. There is 3 bases in each corner. Very easy to take those 3 bases as well early on. It's going to be a TBT, so these high ground pods in the middle could take a very big impact, or could make a very big impact on the way the game plays out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is certainly a very interesting map. I don't think we've ever really seen another map like it. Wait, there is another map that's slightly a rotated version of this, but it's very iconic, of course. It reminds me of like a 4-player Heartbreak Ridge. They just decided to put snipers on it instead.
Yeah.
So it should be very exciting to watch. I just want to see the game, Kix.
Yep, so let's head on over to that game. Let's get started with our first game of the night. It's going to be a TBT between REDBLUEGREEN and kogeT. It's Net Wars versus Red, semi-final A. Let's get started. And speaking of getting started up here in the top right-hand position, we do have in the blue, it's going to be kogeT fighting for Net Wars.
Yeah, kogeT, just such a huge name, but a big one on the other side as well, fighting for Team Red. In the bottom left-hand corner is REDBLUEGREEN, or Team Red's blue-green, who is, of course, just to be confusing in the white, which is, I guess, not a color at all. Or perhaps the presence of every color, if you want to look at it that way. Wait, no, that's black. White is the absence of color, right?
Yeah, white is... No, white is
actually,
all the
doesn't it... No. Doesn't... So, it's whether or not the colors are reflective or refractive, right?
Yeah,
because
fair enough.
if you put all of the all of the reflective colors together, it's black, but if you put all the refractive colors together, it's white. If I'm not mistaken. Somebody out there who's an art major and does color wheels for a living, tell me. But either way, it's highly ironic. That's all I'm trying to point out.
Yeah, he's sworn there's the one color in the game as well that doesn't match up with his name. So I know I did mention that in the bit before, but I thought I'd mention it again because it's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, Brood War is a funny game, Kix, so I'm glad we can all see the humor. I know the prerequisite to playing Brood War, besides just kind of being, a human on planet Earth, is that you have one of the best senses of humor of all humans. So I'm glad that our audience shares that character trait with you and then we can all enjoy what is kind of a funny game sometimes. Although this is a TVT, there's no humor allowed for TVTs because it's all mech all the time, killing each other. Okay, and it's in a mirrored build order opening, so it's like, well, what are you really going to talk about?
Yeah, I mean the one big thing that can be impactful, it's not the most major thing ever, is Blue-Green or RBG is going for his scout a little bit quicker. He also got his barracks up ever so slightly quicker as well, so there is small advantages starting to show their head, or rear their head I guess, but kogeT is a very, very strong Polish player, a very strong foreign Terran in general actually, so it's going to be a hard wall for Blue-Green to try and catch up, or try and climb.
Yeah, it is going to be kind of difficult. I think the biggest thing I watch out for early game is just scouting and seeing whether or not that changes anything and when each player finds each other. But this will actually be pretty similar timings, and they're kind of scouting the same way, but rotationally similar. And so I guess there really will be about as few variations as possible, although I guess the biggest one coming from that supply depot timing that REDBLUEGREEN is having to throw down.
Yeah, his supply depot is a little bit late. The Marine does spawn at the right time as well to keep the SCV out of his base, so neither player not really going to get too much information. If REDBLUEGREEN does skip back out there, he will see the barracks floating away already after just one Marine. Meanwhile, we're going to have RBG going for 2 Marines as well. So that's 50 minerals.
Oh boy, Kix, 50 minerals, wow. I mean, when one Marine wins the game, we'll know exactly which one it is.
Yeah, it'll be this hero guy.
This is like that upgrade to like SimCity or SimTower where you can name the individual citizens, and then when one of them gets promoted to a superhero or becomes like president, you can know exactly which one it was.
Yeah,
I would like to do that with my Marines because each and every individual one is special to me.
Now the biggest thing to really impact this game at all has just happened. We do have RBG, because he did go for that extra Marine, it would have delayed his command center just a little bit, but he's not interested in expanding. He is going immediately into a 2-factory play here. Now this could be very, very strong. Now the trouble is, he moved his Marines a little bit too far out, and kogeT is going to scout it as well, and that's a massive, massive scout at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. This is like a little flash SCV, the one where you almost kill it, but instead it actually just sees everything. Yeah. And you're right, this is tragic for the 2-fact. Now, crucially enough, if he hadn't scouted this, kogeT's expanding behind this, and that's a big decision to make. It's not quite as volatile as in PvP, but that's still 400 minerals that is just not going to be dealing a whole lot of damage. And with that 2-fact now moving out across the map, he will have to kind of bunker down and get ready to hold on against this very aggressive push.
Yeah, now the really funny thing is here, because he only went for 1 Marine, this bunker, even if he does finish it in time, is not really going to be that powerful. There isn't going to be that firepower in the bunker that really is needed to deal with this, and this could be a very good chance for REDBLUEGREEN to try and do some damage, and he's going to circumvent kogeT's army.
This is actually really cute. I love that he didn't just run straight in. He's going to actually run right around the corner. Oh, I actually thought he was going to block off the ramp with the siege mode and the vultures wouldn't be able to get through, but he does get through. The siege mode is completed. The Marines are massacred by those vultures, but ultimately, it's still not that bad for kogeT.
Yeah, his siege mode should be starting up. There we go, it's coming up immediately. But Blue-Green is in a little bit of an awkward position here. He's not really in a place to do any damage. He's trying to bring his barracks in here to try and get some vision. But kogeT does have the opposite high ground. And he's actually going to go for a counterattack to block the reinforcements.
Yeah, he's going to go for this reinforcement block because he recognizes that it's only going to be one tank at a time coming across the map, and he kills it off. This is just absolutely beautiful. Look at the SCV repairing the tank. kogeT just going for the utmost. This micro is incredible, and it just totally stops his push in his tracks. He's got the faster command center up, and this is just beautiful play by kogeT to totally stop this aggressive play.
Not only that, but kogeT actually did something a little bit cute there. He landed his barracks in the way to try and block the units from coming in. Now, REDBLUEGREEN did pull his tank back. We'll get a couple of volleys off. No, we'll only actually get one volley off on those units. And kogeT repairing again. Yeah,
kogeT is actually moving that wounded tank forward to maybe even try to get it in the dead zone around the tank. And even still, it survives because he's just a god. And now he is the player moving across the map. And even though there are mines out, that shouldn't actually be that scary. They should be able to snipe those down. But realistically, I mean, both players have siege mode, so that's just going to make it pretty hard to push in.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is here, we're going to have speed coming up for the vultures of kogeT. But kogeT's going to have the initiative, Neil. He got the faster expansion, he's got that faster second gas. And it's now going to be his game to really throw away. He's going to take an incredible position over the top of the third of REDBLUEGREEN, but REDBLUEGREEN with that perfect tank positioning, getting some great volleys off.
Yeah, and I'm glad that SCV is brought along with it. I was watching Artosis' stream the other day, and he was like, yeah, no, you don't really actually bring SCVs along with your push because there's too much micro, you got to focus on too many things, so it's really not worth it. You might as well just have them mining. Now, this is spoken like a true media macro Terran, and so I think you're starting to see when a good opportunity to bring SCVs with your push is when you actually have kind of small numbers of units, and really each individual one does matter. I know I was joking about that earlier with the naming thing, but it's very true early on.
Oh, a bad rally point is going to lose REDBLUEGREEN another tank, and that is such a big loss.
Oh, yeah, that is actually gigantic kicks. When every tank is so precious, like I was just saying, you lose that one, and all of a sudden, these Terran mechanics keep coming up. The TVT Siege Unsiege micro just starts to become so important, and kogeT's going to be on top in that one.
Yeah, not only that, kogeT is going up to 4 factories to just the 2 from REDBLUEGREEN. Now, Blue-Green, who desperately needs tanks, is actually adding on Goliaths here to try and deal with the high vulture numbers of kogeT, but the more he falls behind in the tank numbers, the harder he's going to find to really put any form of pressure on and even break out of his own bases.
Yeah, breaking out is going to be pretty difficult, Kicks, especially, like, I want to see an Armory and a Goliath come out just to kill off this barracks. That's one of the best ways to really start leapfrogging your siege tanks across the map, is if you kill that off so that there's no more, high ground vision, especially over some of these ramps.
Yeah, I guess the Goliaths also help here as well with the barracks of kogeT. Now, kogeT obviously going to have trouble pushing in, and because of this, we do have REDBLUEGREEN going for an expansion. But kogeT is getting ready to set up a very, very hard contain here. Now, he doesn't actually have that many tanks forward, so he's relying a lot on these mines to really keep REDBLUEGREEN back. But it's going to be really kogeT's initiative to maybe even take another main at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at this point, kogeT should go for this drop that's down at the 6 o'clock, because most of REDBLUEGREEN's attention is actually at kind of sustaining here at the focal point of this tank line. So while he's working on that, yeah, here comes the drop down, 6 o'clock, 7. We're going later in the day, and here come these 4 vultures right on top of 2 SCVs building.
Yeah, that's a big, big deal. There is a Goliath back here to really help defend against this, but one Goliath is not going to be enough to take down all those mines, or he's actually going to try and mine drag. Doesn't quite work out and does lose the Goliath.
Yeah, now thankfully SCVs just have 1,000,000 HP, so it takes quite a while to kill them off, and eventually this is cleaned up. But look at what the reaction was. Blue-Green was forced to bring 3 tanks, Goliaths, everything back into his main, and I would have loved to see that be the opportunity that kogeT pounced on to try to maybe siege that 9 o'clock base or something. But he actually just maintains the tank line, holds it down, and sneakily enough, kogeT's the one getting that other main, exactly like you talked about in the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah, and realistically, with the way the map has been split already, the easiest place that blue-green would have to expand later on is really trying to move across the and split the map vertically. But blue-green needs to be careful. kogeT's tank count is going up and up. There's another drop getting prepared to go into his main. And
oh yeah, this is the one that's going to deal all the damage.
Yeah, I mean, there is +1 attack coming in for blue-green. I don't actually think we have an armory yet from kogeT, so the upgrade advantage really going to come in for red blue-green at some point soon.
Yeah, kogeT invested in all this, Sky Tech with the drops coming in, and so he is going to be kind of focusing that direction. I think I like that better. Now, I mean, upgrades, especially when you're behind it, tank upgrades can decide the difference about how many shots it takes to kill a tank, because if you have even upgrades, then it's 3 shots to kill a tank on tank. But if you have +1 over your opponent, then it's only 2 shots, and that's a big deal when it comes to siege tank lines.
You know, ironically, kogeT actually making a uncharacteristic mistake there, dropping the vultures in a bit of a, well, not a blind spot actually, so blue-green does get back to defend this, doesn't lose anything, more importantly, and slowly he's starting to close the supply gap.
Yeah, I mean, it's still 30 in kogeT's favor, so don't get it twisted. You know, he's still way ahead. But a lot of that supply is in workers, because he has just an extra base mining. And it takes a lot to fund that. Also, he's got to move his units all the way across the map. This is still mech on mech, and the big difference that should be coming into fruition here is the Sky Tech, because there's just no air presence at all for blue-green. Whereas kogeT's got these drops coming in, he's got the raids pushing back these factories, or not the factories, the floating barracks out on the siege tank line. So his air superiority is actually really paying off.
Yeah, and it's when this cloak really does start to kick in as well, it's going to be so hard for blue-green. Now, blue-green going to be relying a lot on sort of drops, at least later on, to even get out of his base. And I mean, kogeT's adding 5 tanks at a time now. He's actually completely given up on Goliaths and everything. He doesn't need them. He's got an insane tank line basically surrounding his opponent, even as tanks at the top, just in case a drop tries to go by as well. And he's taking another base. This is just getting really difficult for blue-green, and he's going to have to try and make something happen soon, or he may be waiting too long.
You're exactly right. Eventually, TVT does become a battle of economics. Who has control of the most mineral patches? For a while, you know, you can turtle and max out on just 3 bases this turn, but eventually it will become a game of numbers. And if you just look at the position of the siege tank line, it's locking down control of so many bases for kogeT that blue-green just won't be able to keep up.
You know, blue-green does get the favorable engagement there with one of the tanks, but blue-green is pushing into a very dangerous location. Even if he tries to go through here, he's going to lose a lot of tanks doing this. He really needs to try and cross the T from either the top or the bottom. And we already see kogeT with some raids here, defending against any possible dropships coming out as well.
Honestly, the raids I thought should be used a little bit more aggressively to pick off some siege tanks. But if you just build these missile turrets down at the 6 o'clock location and keep the raids at the 9, like, what is blue-green gonna do? I mean, he might try to break out like he is right now, but even still, that will be very difficult. He'll take heavy casualties, and
you know what?
He really can't afford to.
He's not doing too badly. He is pushing out incredibly well. He's got a foothold at the top of the ramp, and now he's able to try and cross that T if he can. But his tank is on the low ground, so it's a bit unfortunate for him. Blue-green obviously still in a pretty terrible position. We have a big reinforcement of tanks coming in from kogeT as well. And RBG...
Oh, kogeT... Yeah, kogeT could actually just A-move this.
Yeah. I mean, obviously RBG does have the upgrade advantage, but there's not really too much he has in terms of tank numbers. He's got a lot of tanks now trying to head around the bottom, but you're really starting to see the effect of this hard contain. Turrets at the 6 o'clock, raids and turrets at the 9 o'clock as well. And I mean, blue-green is going to have enough minerals and gas to stay on his 3 bases for a while. But eventually, kogeT is just going to take the entire map, and that's just going to be when it gets a little bit too difficult.
I agree, Kix. I concur even. Siege tank line, we talk about, you know, the ways that RGB is trying to break through, but I think eventually it will just get too difficult, especially since you look at like the future. You know, what does the future hold, right? For kogeT, the inevitability of TVT always comes down to raids and battle cruisers eventually, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at kogeT, he's got such a huge raid count. Like this 9 o'clock raid ball is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's 11 wraiths already, and that's not even all of them. Another one coming in, he's actually up to 4 starports now.
He's making
even
3 at a
queuing
time,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, he's queuing them as well, because he's just got so much money coming in from his 7 bases. And he's even taken the other natural as well. I mean, RBG wants to hold on. This is a very important game for Red, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah, kogeT actually just finished +1 air attack, and here comes the cloak. Here we go. All the cloak raids just coming in right now. We're pouncing on top of these tanks in the siege tank line, even with a scan. And Charon boosted Goliaths on the ground. The scan doesn't last forever, and these raids will be able to pick off a sizable number of tanks before retreating.
Yeah, we've got more tanks coming in from kogeT as well, really reinforcing this tank line. And taking the bottom right main as well. kogeT knows what he has to do. He just has to mine as much gas as humanly possible. It doesn't matter whether or not Red, Blue, Green stays in this game for as long as he wants. kogeT knows he's got this win, and he's just trying to secure it in any way he can. And he's going double armory behind this as well to really try and put the pain on.
Well, interestingly enough, kogeT was actually the one without armories for the longest time, but now he has more than enough. And just speaking of more than enough, like this Wraith Ball is insane. I don't know, man. You know, there's a very popular Japanese and actually Korean. It's very popular as well. Kind of snack to eat called takoyaki, and it's this dough ball with like squid in the middle. And I like to think of this Wraith Ball as very similar to that, in that it is delicious to watch, and you know, it is sort of like the center of the Terran offense.
Yeah.
Much of the same way that the squid is the center of the taco.
Oh,
there's your terrible analogy for the day, but look at how much damage this is doing.
Yeah, I mean, RBG tried to do what he could. He did a very good job trying to build the right units to break out. He had the right idea, but unfortunately, it just wasn't going to be enough, and a little bit unfortunate there by RBG. Will put Net Wars up 1-0 in the series. But still a valiant effort. He was against one of the strongest foreign Terrans at the moment. And kogeT, unlike someone like Dandy, does play TVT, so he's got a lot of experience in it. And I mean, that really did show. He played the map perfectly.
Absolutely did. All the way from that early defense against the two-fact to even just scouting the two-fact play coming across the map at him. He gets the SCV and sees it, defends perfectly, moves across the map, establishes a perimeter, and just never gives up control. So, I mean, this is kogeT at his best, right? Just absolutely fantastic. He's placed very highly in many, many tournaments, and it's just one of the best non-Korean players out there for StarCraft Remastered right now. So, very strong start to the semifinals for Net Wars, and you know, for an undefeated team like Red, you know, they've taken early losses before, but they've always been able to come back. So I'm excited to see if they will be able to this time.
Yep, and we're going to head on over to the intro just while we get this next game set up, so we will see you guys in just over a minute. See you guys soon.